such a good hack for it is getting a pet, like getting a dog. You have
Oh,
to go outside several times a day, or you're going to have a very messy house. And depending what type of dog you have, you might need to exercise them a lot. And it's just that non-negotiable. It's like almost like a chore you're creating for yourself, yet it's a really good chore because it has so many benefits. It's quite a funny one when you think about it. But it's
oh,
those
yeah.
habits that I guess you do a lot of. It's those habit creation cycles.
Yeah, I think first of all, I couldn't agree more about the dog thing, by the way. When I've worked with clients who really struggle to move a lot, one of my recommendations is get a dog because, again, there are certain people who they'll go to the gym, but then they just can't motivate to move. And I'm like, get a dog because you've got to go outside at least twice a day with your dog. And, when in my own neighborhood, the people I see out walking all have dogs. And you rarely see people walking who don't have dogs. So there's something to that. So yeah, I mean, my whole mission in life now is to try to help people because I think we are all fire hosed with information. I think we all know the basics. I think people know they need to eat fruits and vegetables. They need to eat some protein. You've got to lift a weight. You got to get some cardiovascular exercise. You need to have friends. You got to go outside. You've got to sleep, right? Like it's not that complicated. It really is not that complicated. What it is, though, is hard. So I think that's an important distinction. The habits themselves are not complicated. They're easy and they're nobody who's worth their weight in salt disagrees that these are the things you're supposed to do. So, I mean, cast aside all this BS on the internet, learn how to do those things. But I also think that there's so many barriers to doing the right thing in our cultures. One of the barriers, and I alluded to this earlier, but we really did, I think, when gym culture arose, which I think people must think people have been going to the gym forever, but they really haven't. Like people didn't really start going to the gym until the 80s with aerobics, and then it's exploded since then. So we have all gotten the message that you have to exercise and people are doing it. They're spending tons of money on going to the gym. They're doing their 1 hour of exercise, but anybody who looks at our health data can tell that it's not working. We're getting sicker. It's not helping. So what is missing from that? And my theory is it's this total movement. That yes, you do need to do that formal exercise, but you also need to be very conscious about adding in total movement. Now, look, I am not one of those fitness influencers who spends my day meal prepping my food and sitting in my sauna. I sit in front of the computer all day, like everybody listening to this. That's what I do. So I've had to figure out ways to add more movement into my life. And, first of all, I'm more a fan of an 8,000 step requirement. And there's very good research to show that you get the lion's share of the benefit of steps at about 8,000. The other reason I like that number is that it's much more achievable for people who have lives and kids and jobs. It's more achievable than 10,000 steps. And what I want to say is I get 8,000 steps a day without ever going for a walk, so to speak. I get it by, I get a couple thousand steps through my normal activities of daily living, cooking and, moving around and going from place to place, whatever. I get some steps there. I try to take at least one walking meeting during my workday. I try to take a 10-minute walk after my workout and a 10-minute walk after my meals. My husband and I take a little walk after dinner. And then I easily crest 8,000 steps a day with just a little bit of attention to it throughout my workday. At no point am I I'm going for a 1 hour walk. I never do that. I'm just adding in a lot of movement. And I think sometimes people say why steps? Why steps? Well, for me, steps is just a proxy for total movement. It's the best way we have to tell if we're moving enough as a human. And everybody has a step tracker, and then that is your iPhone sitting in your pocket. And obviously, you have to be carrying it all the time to know. And I have a Garmin on and an Aura, and I'm a nerd, and I like tracking all this data. But I don't think people need to do that. Honestly, go to Amazon and buy an $8.99 pedometer and wear that thing around. And that is the greatest piece of health data that you can track because it's a proxy for total movement. And you're going to learn really quickly. Are you someone who is effectively, if you're getting 3,000 steps a day, even if you're doing a workout, you are sedentary. People don't like
Mhm.
hearing that. No one wants to be called sedentary, especially not the exercisers among us. That really bothers them because they feel like they've won at life by going to the gym and they really are upset when you tell them that they're sedentary because they're like, I go to the gym. And it's just not enough total movement. But again, you do not need to quit your job and become a fitness influencer to get this much movement in your day. You really don't. You can just, you do have to bring some intention to it. Um, and that's saying, okay, rather than, finishing my dinner and going immediately to watch Netflix, I'm going to go for this 20-minute walk and then I'm going to watch Netflix. And I
Mhm.
like net, like, I'm like in the middle of like 2 shows right now on Netflix. I'm all about it. Like, I love TV. I'm a fan of TV. It's like how I decompress. I love TV. I, by the way, sit on the floor while I watch TV, which is something we can talk about. But there's
We will
so
talk about
many
that, don't you worry.
there's so many ways that you can add in movement into your day in micro ways, and it all counts. It all counts. Even, I have some friends who do research at Stanford on movement snacks. I don't know if that's a term you've heard before, but even just standing up from your desk at work and doing like 20 air squats every half an hour, like already that's amazing. If you can't leave your office or don't have a chance to walk or it's snowing or whatever, just like get up every 20 or 30 minutes and do 20 air squats. Even that is like gigantic.